allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes.
I know of one.
I need to add, to convene the Board of Liquor Control to approve, a liquor license for a new business.
Okay. And we also have the Vermont Parks and Recreation as an add-on, right? They were supposed to be added to the
Yes.
agenda.
Yep.
They would like to do a quick presentation for us. So we will let you, knowing that you have to be at another board meeting later this evening, we'll let you guys have the floor.
That was quick. So yeah, my name's Lou Bushy and I'm here with Paul Sweeto. We are both foresters out of the St. Johnsbury District Office. So our district covers from J State Forest here in Richford down to Groton State Forest and are essentially to the Connecticut River. So we have the Northeast Kingdom in this little part that sneaks over the hill into Richford. And we're in the process of initiating a long-range management plan for the parcel. We just wanted to meet with folks and just give you kind of an overview. I apologize for the handouts. I was hoping to do a presentation and it shows up a little better than the green on black does here.
Yeah.
But anyway, just gonna quickly go through introductions. Paul and I are here. Just give you an overview of what the parcel is and kind of what the planning process looks like and answer any questions folks have. And then before I forget, if there's a space, a community space that we could think about using for public meetings, I also want to capture those while I'm here. So anyway, again, I'm Lou Bushy. I'm the Stewardship Forester out of the St. Johnsbury District Office. I chair the district stewardship team, which is made up of folks from the forestry staff, from Forest Parks and Rec, some fish and wildlife staff, fisheries biologists, wildlife biologists, and folks from Department of Environmental Conservation. So it would be the basin planner in this area would be Karen Bates. I don't know if you guys interact with Karen at all, but she's the basin planner for the Missisquoi River drainage. So that's kind of our stewardship team. Well, that is our stewardship team, and we develop these management plans. Jay is unique in that it's a long ways from any district office. It's been very heavily harvested prior to state ownership. So there's a lot of acreage that hasn't seen a lot of our time. So we're reaching out because we don't have very many close relationships in the communities. Just want to make sure that we're not missing something when we head down this path. In Richford, there's roughly 2,200 acres of J State Forest in town. It's like the southeast corner of Richford. There's one town road that I forget who called me from the select board or the clerk's office a number of years ago when we were fixing a road over in Montgomery that led up to the state forest. But there's one town road that's still kind of, I don't know if it's unclassified or legal trail. I don't even know if it's class 4, but it goes up into Black Falls.
It does.
That is in horrible shape, and we've been kind of trying to stop the thing from washing down the mountain. So just in general, that's what we see from this side is primarily the use or accessing the forest more from the Montgomery side of the forest than they are here. But again, not really sure if that's something that you guys are aware of. The parcel itself is about 9,000 acres, and it's kind of oddly evenly distributed between the 3 towns. Big portion of the parcel does come with a bunch of conservation easements that are held by the Vermont Housing Conservation Board and the Green Mountain Club. A lot of the parcels were purchased to protect the long trail up along the spine of the greens. The exception being Black Falls and the Black Falls area in Montgomery and Richford. So, and there's a bunch of different uses up there, that recreational uses that I will hit on. biggest one you guys are, sure you're well aware of is Cape Peak Ski Area. The top, like 2/3 of the mountain is actually on state land where they make payment to the state for a lease payment to us annually. It's a percentage of, we get a percentage of the lift ticket sales that comes into the states, into the parks, I don't know what the official name is. It essentially comes to the Department for Management of our state park system. So that's about 700 and 800 acres of the ownership is under that lease agreement with them. Forest, the whole forest has about 4 miles of ash trail, 3.5, 4 miles that essentially connect Richford over into the Newport Derby area. Green Mountain Club manages the Long Trail, which traverses the entire length of it from Journey's End all the way down to 242. It obviously goes farther than that, but the J State Forest, the southern border of it is 242. Beyond there is Long Trail State Forest, which we are not pulling into this at this point. And then the Catamount Trail has a couple of areas where they have easements across the state forest. Currently, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because of issues they ran into on private property or what it was, but they've moved the trail now goes from on the east side of the mountain and comes down to 242 and they cross right at the ski area and then they continue across Long Trail State Forest. So there currently is no Catamount Trail on there on J, but they do have rights to move it there if they need to. Just a quick history, and I'm going like really quick. Our first acquisition in 1954. Essentially purchased the ski area, the area that's under lease to J Peak. Ski area opened in 57. Forest Parks and Rec was very instrumental in building the ski area. I think a bunch of you here are probably old enough to remember Stateside and Tramside. Stateside was state land. We built the buildings, leased it to J. That's where the Stateside stuff came from, was that the ownership. And it's grown, the J-State Forest has grown, ski area's obviously expanded, that expansion's happened on private property adjacent to the state land. But J-State Forest, through partnerships with Green Mountain Club and VHCB and some Nature Conservancy acquisitions, has gone from an original like 500 acres up to the 9,000 acres that it is now. And that's happened since the late 80s, early 90s. It's really kind of blossomed and taken off. So just our planning process, again, we're just kicking it off. We've been doing some inventory, some field inventories. Paul's kind of overseeing the forest management or the forest inventory. We had a couple of UVM students working with us a couple summers ago that put in I forget how many plots they did, but it was a lot. Pretty much traversed the whole parcel, so we've got some stand information. We're working with a new UVM student through the Field Naturalist program who's out doing some of the natural community mapping. Working with the basin planner, Karen Bates, for the Missisquoi drainage. Just getting those assessments together, so we're just collecting field data at this point. We will be scheduling a public meeting, hence the ask for where we could find a big space to do that. We try to hold them in towns where the parcels are located. We're shooting for the early October, mid-October to kick that one off. Really the opportunity for the general public to hear what we've collected for inventory information, but also to hear what people are expecting of us as an agency. What they're hoping shouldn't say what they're expecting, that's what they're hoping we can do on state land. Some of the easements do preclude some activities, but others are fair game and we consider those. We'll take that public input, we'll go back with the resource information that's collected and we'll draft a management plan that'll meet our goals, the public's goals, and also be respectful of whatever natural resource considerations or restrictions we come up with. And then it will go back out for public comment, the plan will. we'll get a bunch. I'm not sure if you guys have heard or watched the news at all with the Worcester Long Range Management Plan, Worcester State Forest, down in the Elmore area, Worcester area. They're getting a lot of pushback from some of the local communities and some of the environmental interest groups about that parcel. But so they do have the potential to get controversial. I'm hoping they don't, but they do have potential. And then once we have a draft plan with comments, we adjust us accordingly and then adopt the thing and begin implementation. So at this point, like I said, we don't have great relationships up in the towns just because we haven't had a big presence here other than ownership of the parcels. Couple of the known users known uses that people have expressed an interest in. Number of sugar makers have reached out to us about tapping on state land. I think they like the higher elevation, they're expanding their sugaring season later into this year. I don't think we're in a position to be saying that's something that's definitive. Like, it's definitely going to happen, but it's certainly something that we can look at and consider. We have had a number of user groups talk to us about designating more backcountry skiing. The Montgomery J side of the forest, there's a lot more use there than in the winter than there is the summer from people backcountry skiing, hiking up Big J and Little J, and skiing back down to 242. So it gets a lot of use in that regard. Folks in Montgomery have asked about constructing some mountain bike trails to try to connect from Montgomery up and over to the J town forest in the town of J. It seems like a really tough ride, but they're interested in doing it, so that's something we'll be talking about. We have had a proposal from Bass to relocate one of the trails to avoid some conflict with one of the private landowners. And then, again, hiking trails is certainly something that the parcels were acquired to protect, so we will be, not sure we'll be designating more, but we certainly will be addressing some of the maintenance and management issues of the long trail. And then, because we're two foresters here, there's an interest in harvesting some wood and producing some wood to the local economy. And if I missed anything, we have the floor.
I don't think so. Just maybe open it up to questions. We're kind of in an initial planning phase right now, especially with the forest resource assessments. Like we mentioned, we did a comprehensive forest inventory a couple of years ago. We're in the process of post-processing those data. We have some initial stand typing, as well as diameter distributions. I guess I would say stay tuned for volumes and standard errors around that sample, but really I think that we collected pretty robust data. A lot of the forest is younger forest, and I think we'll work with our partners and certainly think about how we want to proceed in managing the forest, but some of our concerns are for this parcel, I think, are recreation and managing the forest health more than timber at this point. But.
So,
Well,
If you'd like to contact our office, we can post you upstairs and you can use the big room.
how big is the big room?
I think it holds 200 people.
That would be good. Okay.
Was part of this property, the stuff that was for sale on 105 last year, went up in was there some movement of any of this last year? Or was that a different parcel that was?
Must be a different parcel. There's been a few easement acquisitions through our Forest Legacy program where
But nothing in the last year?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, some of those easements may have closed in the last year, but it still would be private property with just where the state would hold development rights on those, so it wouldn't be state owned.
Any other questions?
You said you were getting pushback on some things from other communities. What were they pushing back against?
Just competing interests. There's some people that aren't supportive of us harvesting trees, there's people that aren't supportive of a whole bunch of things. And, you know, we get the range of opinions when it comes to management of public land, and we have the pleasure of juggling those varying interests. So, not sure if the planning commission's represented here, or if the town plan has any reference or mention of the public land in there. I did not look through it.
It may, I know we're working on, they're working on redoing that or updating the town plan. I'd have to look into it, but I believe there is something in there about it.
Usually they do
Yeah.
identify those,
Mhm.
you know, where there's wildlife habitats, where you have recreational and all that.
Okay. All right, our contact information is in there. If you all have any questions, or anyone else in town has questions or wants to chat, our contact information's there, and feel free to share it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Give you guys give you a minute to head out if you want.
Thank you. Good luck. Thanks.
You need it here.
Just remember, they're volunteers.
Thanks, folks.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll go to recognition of other guests. We'll start with Carl. Carl, as a follow-up to last meeting, Marissa was able to get a quote from Shumways for 8 shrubs. The owner marked 5 to 6 feet tall. Recommended that he could do it, but he wanted to wait until September. Things seem to take better in September. So we have this one quote, and if you're fine with it, we can go with it, or if you would like us to look elsewhere, we can continue our search.
I think you need to look elsewhere, because the board doesn't have a very good history of measurements. Last time I was promised 6-foot shrubs, I got 3-foot shrubs. Now, the agreement says suitable to height a generator, so that's well over 6 feet tall. So now you wanna give me 5 to 6 foot shrubs. That's totally unacceptable. The board's not going forwards, they're going backwards.
Well, I can see how you could feel that way. I mean, I would argue that 5 to 6 is better than 3, but I understand what your agreement says.
I agree, I understand what you're saying, Molly, but the agreement says.
I know.
Says a certain height.
Yep.
And you're just nickel and diming it to try to give me the compromise. I
No,
say move
that's
the
fine.
generator.
What is the terminology you're using? The generator?
Move the generator. It's
Oh, move the generator. What was the other term? Like the?
totally unacceptable for what you're.
No, I thought you were terming the shrub something. Okay.
What would I term?
Well, I thought you were saying a certain kind of shrub, but no, that was my misunderstanding. We will, the Forest and Parks Service gave us another name to company to call. Marissa can reach out to them.
I don't understand how something so simple is so hard. You guys said in 2 weeks you would have this resolved. You're nowhere different than where you were 2 months ago.
Unfortunately, Carl, things are never as simple as they seem. I understand the frustration you're experiencing. Unfortunately, Marissa, you can tell us your search, but my understanding is you reached out to 3 different companies. Only one responded.
And I thought reaching out to somebody who has shrubs that knows they're gonna be able to find them for us, but nobody was interested except for Shumways who grows them himself. So I'll just reach out maybe to, I guess, greeneries and see if we can find a professional to actually plant them.
And,
Try that place
Rather
out
than
for
going
jobs.
through a landscaper.
And, unfortunately, as many in here can attest, we're at the whim of other parties when it comes to getting quotes. I mean, I reached out to D&D Electric. I was told I would have one by now. I have not got one. I mean, Kylie has tried this summer to get multiple quotes on multiple things, and you're just at the whim. So, I mean, I understand your frustration. We are as frustrated as you in many regards for other things. All I can say is we're doing our best. I understand the 3 feet was not an acceptable approach, but we are doing our best to get to where you want to be. We will continue our search.
So how long is the search gonna last?
Well-
This has been going on for.
Well, I mean, and like, based on what I just said, I can't, we want to say we can do it quickly, but it really.
Well, I don't understand. You have a phone book, you just start dialing numbers and you get what you want. Well, I wanna buy something, that's what I do, I don't care. I just keep looking until I find it. I don't just find something that's close to what I want, I find something that is supposed to be suitable.
Well, like I said, we're working our way out. I mean, we're trying to do local, but we will do our best to do.
You know, this thing's an eyesore in my backyard. It's not only an eyesore, you get kids that go to the school and throw rocks at it. Where do the rocks go? Right in my backyard. My grandkids play in the pool out there. It's more than just an eyesore, and you guys don't understand it. You guys,
Throwing rocks at what, the generator?
the generator.
Okay.
It's not just the inconvenience of an ugly looking thing.
Yeah.
It's, the whole thing never should have happened.
Well,
I think the best situation is to move it. Get it right out of there and it's done and over with. You got, the board needs to follow zoning like everybody else does in Richford.
all right, Carl, we hear you. We're continuing to work on it. That's the only answer we can give you right now.
So we're on for another couple months, just waiting to see what's going.
Well, we're trying, that's it. Marissa's gonna do her best, broaden her search, and that's all we can say at this point. And I will continue, I will reach back out to D&D and advocate for, to see where they're at in their quote development. But again, they also were gonna be they had to get Vermont Electric to come do a piece of it. So I mean, their delay might be not on their end, it could be a different party. It's like everything, sometimes there's just dominoes that have to fall into place before you can complete a picture, I guess, is what I'll say. Is there anything else, Carl?
Nope, that's it.
Alrighty. Eric?
I have one thing that I will bring here public, because it was raised here at the last meeting, I believe. And I have two things I'd like to take to executive session, so I'll wait for the end for that.
Okay.
As for the public, a resident voiced concern as to an appointee's ability to do her duties in regard to cemeteries. We had a whopping 5 sales of cemetery plots. They're all on the desk in order. The maps we did years ago, the cemetery folks know where the maps are. It should not be a big concern.
You said they didn't have software that you did.
It's not software, they're hard maps.
Oh,
They're hard maps rolled up on the shelf in the office.
so it's not that mapping program.
No, we don't use a mapping program. We drew the maps.
I thought she was saying that they didn't have the program to be able to update it when they sold lots. But you're
No.
saying no.
Just a hard map.
It's a hard map and it's a hard register. And we've gotten in 5 sales, so we have them on the desk in order, and we wait till we have a bunch. I mean, to go in, get the maps out, get everything out, lay it all out the table, you burn up a few hours doing one. We wait until we have a dozen or so. In the meantime, we keep them in register. But they have the copies of the plots that are sold as well. So I think for them, it's a reference to where it actually is.
Yep.
But we have the maps drawn.
Have we ever thought about
Yeah, we
electronic?
should probably consider that,
Yeah.
because they are on hard copy rolled up. I've seen her fill out the squares, but
Yeah,
we should
and-
consider updating that.
And the maps were printed from a program, but the program's not set up in such a way that you go in and automatically plug in the the values.
When we have a free minute, we can look into
And
it.
actually,
definitely look
NIMRIC has a mapping program
For
for
cemetery.
cemeteries, and we have part of it.
Who had that, Erin?
NIMRIC, our software handler for municipal.
I just know there's a lot of cemeteries now that you can go right onto their cemetery pages and you can find a grave, like with the map online now. You know, and you can just search a name or a plot and it will show you a map right online. So I know there's really good programs out there.
There's ways, there's ways.
I just don't know what it would take, of course, I don't know what it would take to get something up and running and how long or what they would need to kind of develop that for our specific cemeteries.
For the amount of lots that we sell a year, it's probably not worth it.
Right, but what I'm saying is it's nice, like I've had people come to me and, you know, I'm not from Richford, so I'm not familiar with a lot of the last names of a lot of local people, and people will ask, like, oh, do you know where, you know, the Weatherbees are buried, like what cemetery? And you could go right online and search, like, you know, Carl Weatherby, you know, like, you know, yeah, and where is his plot, you know, so it would just be a nice feature to kind of have, especially with some of these older cemeteries where people, I mean, I know Justin was looking for his grandmother for a while over one of the cemeteries and it took us forever to find it. You know, where if you can go right online and kind of see where the markers are, you know, you can have access to it. It's just kind of nice.
It's
So
nice
you're
to-
going to continue updating the mapping?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to it a year.
One thing she said that made me wonder though, she said that whoever's digging the graves now isn't putting the, because you buy a plot, it's like 4. They're not putting where a certain individual is
The
being
marker
buried.
stones.
The
Are they?
markers, the corner
The
markers.
corner markers is what she said.
I thought,
They're not putting in the corner markers.
And
I
that's-
thought they were.
The grave.
Now they are, now
They
are.
now they
Now
are,
they
they
are,
weren't,
they
they
were.
weren't before,
They
but
were.
now they are.
Yes.
Yeah, when you buy a plot, you get the 4 markers and you put the corner
Yeah,
in.
now they're
Yeah.
putting it, but
So
they
I
weren't
think with the
before,
older,
so
the older
they were
plots,
constant,
they
so
were
it's hard
getting
to find.
confused where someone was
The,
buried, but then they.
But they're not, what I think she was talking about was it was not saying, are they in A, B, C, or D?
Yes.
You know,
Right.
they're in
Right.
this area that there's 4, which one of the 4 spots?
Yeah, they don't know which spot they're supposed to
So
go.
that's a big part of the mapping, because you can say they're in this plot here, but
Mhm.
which one, A, B, C, or D, if they're not,
And
if
that's,
they're not putting that on the, what is it, the burial permits, that,
Yeah.
if they're not putting that on there, you're not gonna have that information to go
So-
on the map.
so we don't know until the grave digger brings us in the actual burial permit. We don't know if they're in A, B, C, or D until they bring that information in. So that's after the service when they're buried, then they bring that information. And I don't know if that information supposed to be relayed to whoever's doing the cemetery mapping, I would say.
The
I don't-
cemetery mapping is a
So
piece,
Kim always took the burial permits because we record those. And
Yes,
so Kim would take the
Take
burial,
them up.
yeah.
and
Okay.
update hers.
and that's it, okay.
And then until such time as the cemetery association people come back to you and say, this one's here, that one's there. I mean, when we mapped the South Richford Cemetery, which is actually more like the South Richford Center Cemetery, we actually found an extra row. I mean, they've been functioning for years, not even know they had 21 rows instead of 20. So, I mean, we've mapped them all out. Everything's up to date with the exception of the 4 lots that have been sold this year and not on the map, but they are on that receipt that they get, which we keep in a separate file until we go back to the map.
But I think it would be nice to do it digital, because we are in the digital age, and that's just a backup.
Mhm.
Great to have the physical maps, and you can keep it up, but then also
I
to
agree.
go to the digital, just as a backup.
Is that it for that issue, Eric?
That's it for that
And
issue.
you said the other 2 are executive.
Yes.
Rowena?
Okay. Kristen, remind me when they were going to get the Eagle cleaning done. Did you have a date on it?
Brandon did not give me a date, but he did acknowledge that it needed to get done, but he didn't give me a
Okay.
date. But I can definitely follow up with him again for an actual date.
Okay. And then I'd like to invite the select board to a joint meeting with planning and with the DRB. It's on Monday, September the 9th. This would love to see all of you there. It would need to be warned as a public meeting of yours, and it's
What time?
6 o'clock. Thank you. That is an important piece.
Yes.
And this is where it's a brainstorming one. What's in the bylaws? What would you like to see in the bylaws? Just, thoughts on that. I know you've had with, people are wanting to tear down a building. Should they need to get a permit for that? Are there bylaws out there that need to be more clear or toughened up or anything?
So this is strictly zoning bylaws?
These, yeah, zoning bylaws, yeah. So it would be planning, the DRB, and we'd love to have the select board there as well. And it would be a public, if we can get the public to go, to give public input as well. That would be fantastic.
So is that something you want me to warn?
For the
For
select
the
board,
select board,
for the
okay.
select board, yes, you would
Okay.
need to warn that.
Okay.
Just in case you get at least three.
Okay.
And you've got the quorum,
Mm-hmm.
then you do it, because
Yeah.
DRB is gonna warn it, ours, and so we're gonna actually have 3 meetings posted all at the same time,
Okay.
all as a joint
Okay.
thing, which would be really good.
Mhm.
And along that line is, what's the update on Willow Street, the town land that's,
I have made many I've made many attempts by stopping. I have yet to catch the person at home. At least 3 or 4 times in the last, on my trips to town. I'm still trying to touch base with them and express, that, our concerns. But it's something I'd rather do face to face rather than,
I love it,
or a letter or even by phone. I think it's something the individual in question would appreciate much more. So I'm trying to go that way. So
Okay.
I am trying. As another follow-up item, I did check out the sidewalk that you mentioned. And remind me again exactly what you were looking for, just to have it upgraded?
Yeah, have it upgraded and maintained, especially since it runs from the old little school over there and does connect into sidewalks so people can walk to the post office, or they have a shorter distance of being on the road to get to the market and stuff, and it's just safer, and it's coming from where you have elderly people that, really, it's safer for them to be on a sidewalk as opposed to being out in the street.
I guess I'll say this, it's grown up, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It does not look like it's actively used. But but I couldn't tell, does it run the whole length of that parking lot? Or
I
is it,
believe it does.
and I guess my question to the board is it something we want to continue to maintain? Or, my thing is, I've had conversations with Jason that, while they're doing a ton around town, they're barely keeping up with what needs to be done. And, my thought would be, should we consider retiring that section?
I would like, personally, just my opinion, I would like to see our sidewalk budget being used to upgrade sidewalks that are used a lot more. I mean, I understand there's people that might use that, but we have other sidewalks on some of our streets that a lot of people use that are in pretty rough shape. I'd like to see our budget used on something that more people would benefit from, and whoever runs that senior center, maybe they would want to buy that
That's what I was
land.
just thinking.
Maybe we could sell them that land and
And then they would maintain it and keep the
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Because you don't have to have it like a cement sidewalk, you could do a strip of asphalt through there, which would be a lot easier to maintain.
Yeah, so I like the idea of trying to get hold of people that own the building
Yeah.
and see if that's something they would wanna maintain. And take care of, because it hooks to them, it would be better for them.
It's such a small piece, maybe
Right.
we could even give it to them.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Alright, so. Old elementary school, I'll call it, because I'm not sure what it's called.
Just these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think that at times, maybe maybe the town should look at, I don't know, it seems like at one point, for a small community, we put out a ton of sidewalks.
Back then, everybody walked.
Well, I know, but I
You
mean,
only had one vehicle per household.
yeah, I know, but I mean, like, Jason and I discussed, he's paving Elm Street this year. He'd even discussed, like, that street is 35, 38 feet wide, and it's paved all the way. Like, most other roads are, 2-lane streets are no more than 25. Like, at what point did it get to be that wide? And then it has sidewalks down almost the entire length of both sides of it. So, like, that's just an example of where maybe we only need a sidewalk on one side, because people can cross the street to get to a sidewalk. I mean, so I don't know, I mean, my point is, I think maybe at some point we should consider,
Revamp.
consider retiring some. I think North Ave has them down both sides at portions when only one side might be needed.
Well, what you need to look at is what your how wide your road is. Is it a 2-rod road or is it a 3-rod road?
Right.
So that's where your difference is some of those.
Yeah, I know.
kinda,
Yeah, but I'm just wondering what, I understand the 2-rod and 3-rod, but what was the rationale behind making it 3 and 2? You know what I mean? I mean, it's way beyond me at this point,
Mhm.
but I just like, I mean, you could have saved quite a bit of money if it was only 25 instead of
Right.
33 or 35 or 8 or whatever it was.
But historically, there must have been a reason for them.
Potentially, I don't know what that might be, but.
Right.
So anyway, I mean, long story short, I think at some point it might be worth an inventory of our sidewalks to see which ones are still needed.
I think that would need to be something that whoever did it would be willing to invest some time in, because you're talking about an area up there where everybody parks on the street. And there's roads up there where when you've got people on both sides, it's not a 2-lane road.
Right.
The road you're talking about is you can park on both sides and still cars can get through both ways. I'm not sure we want to lose that.
No, I mean, well, that
Because we might want to upgrade the parking ordinance. Because, like I say, there's streets up there that are narrow now. When you got cars on both sides, it's not a 2-way street. And actually, North Avenue is one of them. When there's cars on both sides and I'm coming up North Avenue and if I meet a car, one of us has got to stop. And I don't know, we want to make all our streets like that? I don't know.
No, I don't know.
But it's something to think about.
Yeah, and I know our parking ordinance, which is we're gonna have to discuss briefly a little bit, does have in there a provision which, I mean, where there's no on-street permanent park, no on-street overnight parking, like we don't want it to be, I guess we just don't want that to be people's housing alternative, our apartments all are supposed to have their own places. I think our residential properties should have it. I mean, it's alright if you park there during the day, I mean, if you do an occasional overnight, maybe, but I don't think we wanna be in the habit of having permanent street parking. So that's something that's in there that, if you want us to change it, that now will be the time, or it'll be open for public discussion, but it's in there.
Some of your narrow streets, you wonder how they went from 2-rod to 3-rod, just magically. If you look back in history, you'll find sections of town with mill housing, and the plot belonged to the mill at the time. They put the road in. And then, as the houses sold individually away from the mill, they ended up paving the roads. Village assumed responsibility for it, and they never broadened out into the 3-rod, they stayed at the 2-rod.
But if you take out a sidewalk, would you, that's still town right of way, you can make that road then, right?
Well, I mean, I think that would be counterproductive. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you're trying to reduce what the town has to maintain, I don't know. I guess that would be another
Yeah.
discussion, but not more than for today. I'm sorry, Rowena, that was just follow-up items.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
Let me see. Just the ARPA meeting was good.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we still didn't get enough people, you know, people need to go. The one thing, and I guess this is a question for you, Kylie, because it was really great that you said all these things that you're gonna do and you're gonna try to get grant money for it, so to free that up. Is there a backup list, like say you do get grant money and then you've freed up some of the money that you have other projects that you'd like to slip in? Or is it gonna be, if we get lucky and free up that money, then we'll come back to the table and say, okay, now let's have another list go around?
Well, I think the idea is to use that money in conjunction with some grants that we're anticipating chasing, like the MRFs. And these are huge ticket items, so
Okay.
it all depends on how much funding we can secure through the grants. And then, yeah, I mean, we'll have to go back to the drawing table if we don't happen to expend all the ARPA money.
I mean, trust me, there's always a place to spend it.
Yeah, okay. I was just, didn't know if you had a list already started kind of
I think
back
our
then.
list is good, and I think
Yeah.
if we can accomplish these things and then kind of reassess.
So, okay. Sounds good.
Is that it?
Yep.
We have one guest online, Lisa Hango, our state representative. Lisa, do you have anything you want to add?
Hi, no, thank you. I'm just here to listen. I try to get to your meetings once or twice a year, and it's always really interesting to hear what issues are coming before the select board. So I appreciate the opportunity to listen, and if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Move to approval of the 8/5/24 meeting minutes. Sherry, you indicated you had
Yes.
an amendment.
To it. There is no handicap parking sign on the side of the building that I was thinking it was. It's actually handicap accessibility because of the ramp being there. So we are going to get a handicap parking sign. Marissa's looking into pricing right now for 3 of them. So that's where we're at with that. So I just wanted to get that updated.
I'm abstaining, I wasn't present. From the table.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve with the amended language that Sherry just proposed?
I'll make the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Who's seconding? Sherry?
I made the motion.
Oh,
She's-
you made the
she's
motion, Alan seconded, okay.
Alrighty. Kylie has ARPA and has the floor.
Yes, so I have a resolution, can I just see the resolution? It's okay. A resolution, to expend the current ARPA funds. The town is required to have all of their monies allocated by the end of 2024. And currently, we are having a lot of trouble solidifying bids and quotes to even attempt to work on some of the projects that we've discussed. So I've been working with VLCT, and they have recommended that we use this resolution and expend the funds toward previous payroll and employee retention expenses. So it will allow us to move the ARPA money into the general fund and have it sit there until we can expend it on the projects that we've been working towards. So if anybody has any questions at all, I would like for them to reach out to me directly here at the town hall, and I can explain this further. It's really, I just want everyone to be mindful that the Treasury had a very strict definition of what this allocation meant. It meant that these projects had to have gone out to bid, the contracts needed to be signed, we had dates of construction, and we just weren't able to make it there yet. So versus risking losing the money, we're gonna put it in the general fund and have it sit there.
So it's from July 1st of last year to May 31st of this year?
Not May, March.
March, yeah.
Correct.
But it was enough.
It was enough with the payroll and the health insurance, yes.
I'll just sign it in black then.
You have to make a
But,
motion.
so, I'm gonna,
It has to be a
Um,
specific motion.
yeah,
so
there has to be
Marissa will read it.
specific language, so I'm gonna read it, and then you don't have to, just, someone will make that motion. So the motion is to approve the resolution to obligate and expend SLFRF funds in an amount up to $665,094.56 for the purpose of municipal workforce retention to pay for payroll expenses for the period July 1st, 2023 through March 31st, 2024, and the health insurance for the period of July 1st, 2023 through January 31st, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is that it for you, Kylie?
Yes, and I just had a liquor license, but that can wait.
Okay.
That's the addition. Right? Yeah, I added that.
It's just a different number.
Yeah, so we can do it at the end under other after everybody else is done.
Sure.
Here, I'll let that, I believe. Well, Marissa goes over her town administrator updates. You'll notice she moved herself up because we kept stealing her thunder.
Yes. I'm like, I'll give my update before everybody else takes all my stuff. Okay, so I've been working on the animal control ordinance. It's been a long process, I feel like. I did a lot of reorganizing to the ordinance, just because things were just kind of out of whack and it's really old. Mostly all of the language is the same. There's just a few things that have been taken out. I'm gonna send that in an email to everybody once I complete that. It'll be this week. Wally and I have been working with the attorney to update the parking ordinance, which is finally completed. We're gonna wait to post it because we wanna post it with the animal ordinance and the water and sewer rules, which we're still working on a few minor updates to that, I believe. I received a letter, which I handed out to everybody, from Northwest Access TV. They're facing significant financial challenges due to a decline in cable subscribers with Comcast. So they are asking, they're reaching out to the municipalities that they serve. And currently the estimated yearly cost for covering the Richford Selectboard is $3,500 for the year. They know that, they can't necessarily get the $3,500, but they're just asking for some sort of percentage of that contribution. I just wanted to hand it out to everybody. Obviously, we don't need to make a decision tonight. I think everybody should think about it before making a decision, but I wanted everybody to know. So you can take that letter with you and read it over and other than that, just normal stuff throughout the day. I am working, so there's the asbestos abatement that went on over at the post office. That's been completed, and now we can move forward with the historical preservation grant that we received to repair somewhat drywall and paint, replace drywall, paint, sealing. So to do a bunch of work up at the post office. So Sherry's gonna try to reach out to some people to get some bids, to get the scope of work done, so we can try to have that completed and we don't have to forfeit that grant. And then Andy is supposed to meet with the person in charge of the dry hydrant grant. He's meeting with him on Wednesday. I submitted the applications and the guy immediately reached back out to me and wanted to come and look at all the dry hydrants. So I thought that was a positive.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, highway. Not much to report. The parking ride is due to be paved Monday. Which brings the paving guys into town, and I'm assuming all the paving projects will be taken pretty much done in the same time frame.
Yeah, so he was coordinating that together. However, Monday is the first day of school, so hopefully everyone is patient. They're well aware of it, so hopefully there's no issues.
Beyond that, just they're doing general things right now, nothing noteworthy at the moment. I see some culverts being done, some grading. I think they might have had a little water damage from the rain a couple Saturdays ago, but.
Richford Recreation would like to thank them for installing the new scoreboard at the elementary school for the varsity field. That was a nice group effort between rec, boosters, and youth council grant and the highway guys, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me see, I got a list here. I passed around the letter that I crafted with information from the Marissa provided and Northwest Regional Planning regarding discontinuance of the rail trail project. As we discussed, I think in previous meetings, we were quoted our financial obligation to discontinue that project was from 106 to
135.
Yeah. Which Northwest Regional Planning shared with us a federal memorandum from the Agency of Transportation, which says you don't have to play back pre-engineering costs. They don't have the authority to call in that funding anymore. So it's our understanding that a lot of the funding that was expensed was pre-engineering. So we're asking for clarification as to why we would need to pay it back. And this just spells out our challenges and asks for some, hey, what about this memo and why does it not apply to us type thing. So Northwest Regional Planning looked at it today and their representative and thought it was fine. So if the board is fine with that, I will sign that. We're gonna send it certified mail. So we don't have to wait, hopefully we don't have to wait over 4 months to get a response like we did earlier this year, if it's certified. If you wanna hand that back, I'll sign that. The other thing Marissa kind of mentioned, we did finally push through working with the town attorney. We feel the parking ordinance finally, after probably 18 months of this agency, that agency saying they could help, is finally at a point where we're happy with it for eventual, I guess, what is it? Public comment, I guess. So, but we'll, like Marissa said, we'll hold it till the time the water and sewer is ready, and we can hold the joint meetings to, rather than individual meetings to go over all three.
Approximately when are you projecting?
Well, I mean, I don't want to put the onus on you, Alan, but I think Marissa says her animal control will be done soon. How soon is yours?
My changes are all done in here, I just need Marissa to update. The only one, I thought you didn't give me the stuff Kylie wanted.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. I thought that.
And we went over it that day, and you wrote it down on your copy. You know.
Oh.
There were just a few minor ones. I still have them written down on my copy, so we can just get together and sit down and go over those two.
Okay.
There wasn't many.
It was very minimal.
It was very minimal.
So they're almost ready.
Yeah, I would say.
Some of your things that you had on your thing, Wally, couple of things I did change. I can talk to you after about some of the stuff. There's a reason some of that language is the way it is.
No, that's fine. It was just, me spitballing and trying to make sense of it all. If it needs to be, I don't need to know. I was just.
Yeah.
But would it be realistic to think that probably by the end of the year?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
hoping to have it because it has to be voted on, right?
No.
No,
so we just have to,
not the water sewer, but the rest of the
I
ordinances.
don't think those do either, I just think we have to open it up to public comment.
Public
It
comment.
has to be posted for 60 days.
60
And then
days.
if somebody
Yeah, so-
So
wants.
hopefully by the end of the year,
Yes,
yes.
hopefully.
That sounds good.
I have something for executive, under personnel. And then we do have a driveway permit application. How do these work? Do you need a motion for these, or do we just, if we're all
You
agreed?
just sign them as long as the highway foreman is signed
Yeah,
off on
Jason
them.
has
Yeah.
signed off on it and blessed it.
It just has to be brought to the board meeting for everybody
Yeah.
to sign. It has to be approved at a select meeting.
Oh, goodness.
And so they're putting in a new driveway?
On McCallister Road, yes.
Have they checked with, I don't recall, but have they checked with the zoning administrator? Because that's kind of a two-phase. You guys have to approve like the curb cut and stuff, but then there's usually.
Yeah, there's no curb cut, no,
Or
no
whatever.
culvert. My understanding was the board approved it and then it went to zoning to be approved, right?
Yeah, somehow,
Right,
both.
yeah, it goes,
both-
I thought, any other driveway permit, I believe, went to the select board, and then once they've approved it, it goes to zoning whether or not he approves it.
Right.
Is this a new driveway? or
Yes, new.
For a parcel that already had a driveway?
No, I
No.
don't believe so.
Okay.
But having seen where it is, no, I don't think so.
And then you come back to, the listers with that location so we can E9 on it.
Right.
What that'll come from zoning, correct?
Yeah, don't know where it comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Huh?
that's
It goes
it.
supposed, I think it goes to the foreman, I believe it's the foreman, the select board, zoning, and then listers.
Alright.
We'll get everybody told about it.
Yeah.
And let me check my list. I think, I have one other thing under other business,
No one's there.
and that's it. So we can move on to buildings.
Buildings, like Marissa said, the abatement's done. Now looking for quotes for replacing the sheetrock and all that has been taken down. Still working on pulling up the rugs up there. It's all beautiful hardwood floors. There's a few spots that might have to be patched up due to the old radiators, which will be done next year. The basement door basically had to be kick shut, and it still didn't. Apparently, it got broken when the other people were there, and no one said anything, and the door was open, and it was found open this morning. So Richie took off the doors completely because the hinges are broken, and actually plywooded it all up because he'll be back tomorrow, this week to finish up putting the new doors in. So that'll be taken care of. The post office had their ACs draining down into the stairwell where it's all, the debris had plugged the drain. So we got that taken care of today too. Thomas had taken out a bunch of the stuff, which he moved the AC drains off to the side so they weren't going down in the hole. So we're getting rid of the swimming pool that was down there. And let me think, the side, where you go up the ramp going into the side door of the post office, up where the old little awning is. The awning's gone, but those beautiful metal brackets are still there. The little header above it is all rotted out, so I have to have a carpenter come and do that, but Richie replaced the blocks, they match really nicely. And the two missing blocks on both sides and got that all sealed up. He'll come back once I get the header pulled out and a new one put in with new flashing on it. He'll come back and do the mortar around those. And I think that's it for now.
Do you want to speak to the generator thing or no?
Oh, yes, we've been having issues, it just came to my attention today with one of our emergency generators, which is at the high school, the one behind Carl's house. It hasn't been active since June. It's supposed to automatically kick on once a week, to make sure it stays running and ready for emergencies. I did get hold of Brooksfield today, and talk to them. They will be contacting me within a 2-day period to tell me where things stand on it. They're having a hard time. There is different channel gears controlling things. They're having a hard time matching them up because it's an older unit. Kind of like the same thing with the generator at the fire station. We actually had to have, by a welder, a gas tank made for it, for holding in the gas tank, because they no longer make the parts for them.
I mean, I know they're older, but they're not like they're 50 and 60 years old.
Right.
You know, so I find it hard to believe that those parts aren't out there now.
Well, my thought is.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I'm sure it's true, but I mean, it's just like, why wouldn't they continue to make parts? I mean, I guess maybe it's cost prohibitive, but I mean, it really does seem like it'd hurt your customer. Like, your customers aren't gonna be that loyal if they can't get parts down the road.
Right, well, the same thing, and the ATM at my store is only like 15 years old, and they couldn't get parts for it anymore. They replaced all the ATMs. They can't get them. They come out of the country now.
They wanna sell you new, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
But I will say, when she does calls me back and gives me the update, I will let the select board know about what's going on exactly, and then if we need to make phone calls from there, we will, to take care of the issue, because it is important for them to be up and running. They are our emergency generators, so it is for the town, so. What was another thing? Oh, the historical building, the old fire station. I've had people telling me they've been seeing people come up and down from there. So on Sunday, I stopped by and I went down to look to see if I could see anybody down there. I didn't see anybody down there, not a lot of evidence of anybody down there. But the padlock that's on the door is still padlocked, but where it hooks to the wood casing was pulled off the wood casing. So you can still open the door and walk inside. And there was nobody inside and nothing left behind by anybody. But we are looking into having that fixed. I talked to Marissa. She was reaching out to see if the town boys, Jason and them, could get down there. Do some type of metal bracket that wraps from the wall, comes around like I have on my back door at the store, and then padlock it. Something they can't just simply pull out 4 little screws out of a door case. Because it's not well seen down there, and it's around, behind, and under, and
Yeah, and especially since you've got that roofing over there, that blocks a lot.
yeah, and then you got the wall on one side, the wall on the other side. So we will take care of that. That will be taken care of. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Water and sewer?
I had asked Jeremy to come tonight too, and on Friday, he thought that he would be able to be here, but.
Yeah, I had a long talk with Jeremy today, but I guess this would come under sewer. I had somebody report to me that there's a camper parked in somebody's yard on Home Street, and they appear to be pumping raw sewage into our storm drains, which is going directly into the river. Being a storm drain, it would come under highway, but, so I don't know if it's, but I was wondering if maybe Jason could go over and take a picture. And then if indeed there is a line running from this camper directly to the storm drain, maybe we should send them a certified letter letting them know that it's illegal to put raw sewage into our storm drains, and if it continues, we'd have no choice but to report it to the state of Vermont.
I think maybe we
Should
should
you just do
report it
that?
anyway.
I was just gonna say
I
that.
have a picture, Alan, but I didn't know what the picture was until Jason came and saw me this morning, and I asked him to go right to Jeremy and follow up with you. But that's what it looks like, it's just you can't see it coming off the.
So maybe we should send a certified letter and.
Just letting them know that we're notifying them.
Yeah, letting them.
So we know who it is.
Yep.
Yes.
Alright, so I mean, it sounds like we don't have to have Jason go, it sounds like he's already done that.
Mm.
So we can just go with the certified letter. That's something you can take care of?
Yeah, I can take care of that.
And are they supposed to be living in a camper?
That would be a zoning
I know.
thing.
So they're like guest of a house or something? A home?
Well, they
That
can,
we're not sure of.
they can have a camper, like, stay like a recreational 2 weeks or something, but, you know, to be months and months and use it as a residence, no, then you can't have,
So I
like
think
I said,
a call to John probably to follow up with a letter would probably be.
Okay.
yeah, because that's,
It seems like there's something
It's a-
faster we
it's,
can do about that.
this way, it's not only illegal with the state, but it's against the performance standards. And so,
What
because
do you mean by performance standards?
performance standards would be noise or discharging of solid waste in an impractical, you know, not
Okay,
the way that the town would have,
okay.
that type of thing. So that's where it would fall under there.
This what you just sent the police over for? That they could just address it?
I think you just contact the state or Vermont Environmental, right?
Yep, environmental board.
Environmental.
Yeah,
board.
if you send,
I mean, and maybe the state police too.
cause I'm thinking you send a certified letter, by the time you don't see back from it, so 2 weeks later, a month and a half later.
I can contact
that
the,
they're gonna give us trouble if we talk to them enough? Is that?
I don't think that there's gonna be trouble with that, will they listen?
Well, yeah,
And
that's
how
what I
long do
mean.
you want it running in there?
yeah.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I guess my first call can be the state police and
Yeah.
see what they recommend and then go from there.
Yeah, something faster.
Maybe they'll go over and say, hey, you know, you're not allowed to do this, and if you continue to do this, you know, these are the repercussions.
But you would need the paperwork, I think, to follow up as documentation.
Send a letter anyways, too.
Yeah.
Send a letter, then contact state police.
Maybe the state police just give the heads
But, yeah,
up,
they can
there's a
deliver the
letter
letter.
coming, that's
Yeah.
it, to inform you
Well,
of
they can
this.
deliver the letter. I certified, right?
Yeah, I'll contact the state police and see what their recommendations are.
That's it for water and sewer for right now. Jeremy is gonna be here at our next meeting.
To provide an update as to what's happening at the sewer plant?
Yep.
Still no closer to resolution.
Must be a little closer, it wasn't so bad smelling this morning when I went to work.
Yeah, I think any further discussion of this issue would need to be an executive session.
Okay.
Because we're getting into
Okay, that's fine.
places I didn't think this was gonna go.
Okay, no, sounds good.
Is that it, Alan, for you then?
Yep.
Okay. Parks and playground?
I don't have much. I did follow up with Sean from the restoration of the cemetery to see if he, because I had contacted him back in the spring. And he basically told me that he would definitely have it done by the fall, so before the snow hit, so hopefully he will hold his end of the bargain on that, so. But nope, that's all I have.
Other business,
So, other business, someone's gonna have to make a motion to.
well, I have something.
Oh, you have something?
Yes.
Okay.
Kylie, maybe you can help me speak to this. I think, did you share with all the board, Jesse's, email? Jesse Woods from Enosburg?
I
don't.
No, I think I called you on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think everybody was tagged in it on the
I
email.
can check.
Okay, well, did you guys all see that?
Maybe.
Well, apparently, as we indicated at the last board meeting, they did have a meeting to discuss regional planning and discuss a more Richford, Montgomery, Bakersfield regional
Yes.
sheriff's office.
Let's see that.
And it seems like the very next day, before noon, all the towns had received an email or a proposal from Mr. Grismore saying he could provide that regional service. So it clearly sounded like he was well informed of everything that occurred at this meeting. Not that it was hidden, but it seemed inappropriate that he had all the details immediately. And then, this is where I'm gonna need your help. is it,
So.
Mr. DeSaro, how is he, what, he's the
So-
town manager?
Grismore reached out asking to collaborate with all the towns. And DeSaro, he's the village manager in Enosburg, he responded, that they would be open to doing that. And then the village of Enosburg and the town of Enosburg are different. And they have, different, people in different roles. Anyway, so Jesse reached out to us saying that the town of Enosburg and the town select board had no interest in trying to work with John Grismore, so they wanted to communicate that and make it clear.
Yeah, so they just wanted that clear, and I guess, you know, this was what, and I just want, I guess we should discuss what we're looking for, in the, you know, coming out of this. Do we have any interest with doing a regional thing with the Franklin County Sheriffs? My opinion was no, but I mean, what does the rest of the board think?
My opinion is no.
Okay, and then we also should think about, what we want out of, what we're willing to contribute, I guess, potentially. I mean, what, we don't, I think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, we don't wanna be signing a contract with, say, Enosburg, and they now have a police service. We want it to be more of a regional, equal representation board, right, if we do something, if that we're gonna sign on to.
I don't know if we are in a position at this point to make that decision. Depending on what kind of a contract we could get with them, I wouldn't rule
Rule it out, but it's not our
out, but-
preferred.
Not preferred,
Yes.
but I guess it would depend on what the details were and.
Yeah, I mean, this is very premature.
Yeah, it's preliminary.
So, I would say to continue conversations and participate in the meeting.
Yeah, no, definitely, but I mean, I think we need to, you know which way we're leaning and which is our preference. I will say that sounds like there's some kind of challenges with having it be a multi-town regional thing that would need to be worked out. My understanding from the the Lamoille County Sheriff is, while it's challenging, it's not undoable. So it can be figured out. It's gonna take, there are some logistics to work out. But anyway, so that's where that's at. It was just interesting. It was really interesting that there was such a rapid response after the meeting from the Franklin County Sheriff's office. That's all I have for other business. I don't believe there's anything else on my list.
I don't think so. So now, someone needs to make a motion to transfer from the select board to the Board of Liquor Control, correct?
Right, you need to convene, yeah, we need to.
You need to make a motion to convene the Board of Liquor Control.
Do I have a motion to convene the?
I'll make a motion for meeting.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Let me ask this question before we officially go. Do we have anything that we think is gonna come out of our executive sessions that will need to be voted on? Mine's personnel. I don't foresee anything coming out of it.
Mine's personnel
And Eric, you said you had some things?
I do, and it's personnel, and you would have to decide whether or not to answer in the affirmative to the question I have.
But will it require a motion? Yes, is what you're saying. I'm just asking, so.
Yeah, I don't know if it would, because the situation is already in place, it's just whether or not it's gonna be honored.
Okay.
So,
So I guess you don't need to stay then.
Okay, do I need to stay for the liquor board part?
Do they
I
usually?
mean, we can just do this quickly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Okay, sorry, I was getting ahead of myself.
River's Edge Snack Bar is trying to open, and they've applied for their liquor license, and they were a previous business, but they have been out for a while, so I'm presenting it to you as a new business. You've given me permission to approve it, that's what I'm asking for again.
Cause it's at a different location.
It is at a different location, at 1 Main Street.
Yeah, I think that's what they call it, one
I
minute.
Yes.
spoke with John, and they've applied for all their permitting. There might be a question when time comes to open, but that's John's forte.
Is it the old drugstore?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, that's not 1 Main Street, but.
One Main
Two, I
Street,
think
one,
It's either
one or
one Main-
two.
one is the other
or two
side
Main
street.
Street or it's River Street, I don't
Yeah.
know.
River.
Yeah. Anyway,
One
they're
River.
opening
One River.
One River, okay, River then.
their
The
pizza
opposite
place.
side is one Main.
Okay.
And so they've paid their fee to the town, so.
So you're just looking for a motion to let you do
To
that? or-
approve it, or motion to let me approve it, yeah.
I'll make
It's
a
all
motion,
online now, so.
yeah, I'll make a motion to let
I'll
Kylie
second
approve
it.
that, that request. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now you have to make
Move, I
another
make a
motion.
I'll make a motion to come out of the liquor control board and
Go
back,
into
back,
executive.
and go into executive, yeah.
And
All those in
I'll
favor?
second it.
All those in favor?